Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mark Molino of Real Sports Live, and for another edition of the Sideline Sit Down. My guest this afternoon, George Mata. George, thank you for coming on with us.
Thank you for having me, man. It's a pleasure.
Right before we get started, everybody, unfortunately, one of our longtime colleagues and friends, Roy Hess, he was a longtime sports writer, Rio Grande Valley Sports Hall of Famer, sports journalist, Roy Hess, passed away yesterday morning. Dear friend of a lot of the writing community in the RGV, and we just want to send our condolences to his family and give our well wishes that we're thinking about them. They're in our thoughts and our prayers. And Roy Hess definitely gonna be missed. Definitely a legend in the field of what we do. So just want to say that all the well wishes from Real Sports Live. But let's move on. George, thank you for being here today. I understand, people call you the foot doctor. You involved with a lot of the athletes and do a lot of training. Just kind of tell us about that moniker. How did you get it? How do you feel about it and stuff? And just kind of talk to us about what you do.
Man, this just started probably about 5 years ago, man. So I started off training after I played arena for 2 years here in the Valley. I started just wanting to give back to kids and just wanting to help them out at first. And then eventually it just started growing where parents of athletes wanted to start paying for my time. And, eventually just started adding up. And then probably about 8 months in of just kind of just building up this training process of getting myself to get these kids, sports specific training. I had one of my great friends, Seth Minter, reach out for me, and told me, "Hey, man, I'll be a part of our team." So the team he was talking about, the Foot Doctor Sports, they're based out of Baltimore. It's a bunch of trainers that come together. We talk about sports, science, ways to develop athletes a lot better. Taking the sports movements and breaking it down into science, having a better understanding. And so how he got the name, he started training some of his pro guys from Cincinnati Bengals. And one of the guys like, "Man, you're getting my feet right like a podiatrist. I'm going to call you the foot doctor." And from there, that name stuck to him, and he's made a whole brand out of it. And we've just all followed the name, the foot doctor, Mata, foot doctor. We have about 30 foot doctors all over the States. I believe we even have one in Mexico. So well known around the world. And it's been a great opportunity. It's been a blessing for me. It's helped me grow in training. It's helped me grow in any aspect that I may need to be around athletes. And it's been, I can't complain. It's been really good to me. And I've learned so much.
Yeah. So obviously, the focus is the speed and agility. How about can you break down maybe some of the science, maybe a little, what it entails and how it's beneficial for some of these athletes that come through?
Yeah. So it's all about force application, stuff like that. That we break it down into as far as some coaches know, but they might not or don't have the time. They got 50 kids. So we break it down when they come train with any of us, how to better perform, in a specific movement. If anybody, is looking at, say, DB, learning how to get out of the break properly. We work about chin angles, foot placement, understanding where your feet are, and being able to provide amount of force at the right angle to be able to excel in every movement angle way that you may need to and on the field based off reaction, of course, where you decide to go. And things like that is where if we make a kid understand, he's going to be able to process it a lot better. When a coach has him, "Hey, I want you to break here and get here as fast as possible," when some kids do not know how, they just expect you to get there faster, not understand how or what can I do to get there faster. And those in my program, what we break down when it comes to that play aspect of understanding game like situations, and being able to develop them to understand.
Yeah, and kids have obviously who come through here, some go on and play at the next level, and it's a faster game. It's there's a lot more to it.
Yes.
How have you seen results? How these kids fared once they go there? How has it helped them? You get any feedback from them once they are off to the next level?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a couple actually in the next level, all divisions. And they come and tell me like, man, everything that you've taught us, has helped us create better separation, being able to make quicker decisions off of, what I've explained to them about game-like situations, and things like that. It's just they've just benefited just overall, able now to compete at the level that kids compete at. I mean, it's like you said, a faster pace. It's a bit, I mean, I'm not a little bit, a lot quicker. And everyone's fast, not just hearing the 1, 2 kids that are fast. No, everyone's fast at that level. And you have to be able to perform at a level to be able to stay either a starter, be a starter, or just remain on the team. And every kid that's come my way and been able to be in my space, has improved and improvements by being able to break, uh, uh, against athletes that tend to shut down a lot and all over the Texas. And so every feedback I've gotten has been great. They see improvements, from the understanding, of course, Brent.
Okay, awesome. Um, as it seems like a year-round thing. You working with athletes like that. But it seems like right now, the last couple of months, with the quarantine and the whole situation that the country's in, have things slowed down? Have things been modified? As far as training goes, how have you adjusted to that? And how is it really different?
Right when basically they did shut down the whole, Texas, or the whole United States, it did slow down. Everybody was, taking the precaution, making sure, understanding what was this whole COVID first, how bad is it, and then eventually, as people started coming, I took some modifications to where it was only private, and I had to make sure they had no symptoms, they didn't have any issues as far as meeting other, family members that might have had any type of, uh, kind of COVID, attached to any symptoms, anything like that. So, I took the precautions of first doing private, only private to all my clients. Um, and of course, it filled up quickly. And I took the precautions of wiping my equipment before and after, being able to make sure that, there was no way that any of this was going to be transferred or obtained for me and my family, of course, because, I have a son and daughter and my wife that I do not want to, of course, have this, any symptoms around them. But we took that. At first, it started off slow, but as a month and a half passed by, I mean, more and more, I started getting more and more, inquiries and people wanting to come out and train, and that's where I wanted to slowly start, picking up my groups and starting wanting to get everything together. And eventually, everybody's out right now and really trying to stay at another level. So when they go back to coaches, hopefully soon, they'll be prepared and ready for whatever coaches are asking them to do.
Did your type of clientele change, and maybe have you got new kids that maybe wouldn't have thought about it, but like, hey, this is a way to stay in shape, something they never thought about, a different kind of an outlet? I mean, just the type of clientele you take on, is it different from before?
Yes, I did. I mean, for me being used, I'm used to having very small groups. I don't like to push more than 10. It's been, and I've gotten so many inquiries as far as, getting more and more newer clients, and I believe it's more of because there was nothing to do out there,
Mhm.
and everybody has known the foot doctor as far as my name, but I've heard a lot of people say they're scared to come out here because of the videos I post and what they see. They see, of course, months of work, not just that day of.
Mhm.
And a lot of kids were deciding to, hey, let me try it out. This is my opportunity. This is what's available now. They had school certain hours, but it was at home, and then they had pretty much the rest of the day to, stay active, try to stay active. They had a choice. And so I did have a lot more clients come out of this because of not so much available to them as far as, going to school, lifting weights there,
Mhm.
being able to go with other trainers that were in the facilities that, probably were shut down, things like that. And it's been growing, and people, once they come in this space, they completely stayed. So.
Uh, with those different type of clients, have you adjusted maybe the regimens or anything that you do? Maybe starting from a more novice, intermediate, depending on where the athlete comes in at.
Are you breaking up there?
Oh,
I
sorry.
couldn't hear you.
Have you changed your regimen? Maybe like more novice, intermediate type workouts, depending on where the athlete comes in.
I've always had that. I've always
Okay.
had that in my program. My hours go based of basically having a youth group where, of course, the youth, and then I have two separate offense, defense, and depending where they're at,
Mhm.
we definitely place them in a more advanced group or a beginners group where we build them up. And eventually, when I feel they're ready, they'll go to the advanced group, and so on and so forth, and being able to get them to where I feel they're ready to get more advanced.
Mhm. Yeah, no, and it's amazing to see something like that, because at this day and age, I feel that we see more and more athletes year after year sign on to go play at another level. We get athletes
Yes,
that are more recognized, that are faster. Opening more eyes up north. So,
yeah.
and speaking of that, opening eyes up north, I know you're coach for Team Zap, 7-on-7. We were talking about things that with the COVID situation, we don't know when sports or coaches might be able to come back, but there's been some inklings of 7-on-7. So have you guys done anything, with that so far? I mean, are you guys waiting? Is it coming up? I mean, just what's the situation there?
The whole situation there, we shut down the second week, March 16th of in March.
Mhm.
So once we got where there were tournaments were getting canceled or postponed, I decided, hey, to make sure and provide safety for my athletes in our team, we decided just to shut it completely down. We're actually, I believe, practices are ready to go. We can have practice May 31st,
Okay.
and I plan to start that up. Of course, setting it up differently. Usually, I have all my teams there, but I'm definitely going to break it down
Hmm.
to where not everybody's there at the same time, to where I'm only going to have 18, 20 guys at a time, and of course, staying in the city guidelines and state guidelines.
Yes, for sure. Tell us a little bit about Team Zap 7-on-7. I know you guys have went out there and go to these big tournaments. The 7-on-7 is surely a big thing, but kind of tell us about Team Zap. I mean, who does it consist of? From kids from where? How did it get started? Give us a little bit of background on Team
Okay.
Zap.
So Team Zap, I'm on the second year of Team Zap. How I got into this whole 7-on-7 circuit. It started with, a well-known name, Gunnar Henderson.
Hmm.
He had gone to a team up in Houston, and that team was definitely trying to branch out and build something down here in South Texas. So that's how I got my feet into the 7-on-7 circuit and having an understanding. But as the year came, we decided to part ways, and I decided to keep it going because it was just such a great thing for these guys to get exposure, to see top talent year round, or during the off season. Um, I decided to make my own organization and build it from the ground up. So the first year we had kids all over. We had kids from the Upper Valley, Lower Valley, um, basically all over the valley to come together and join a very talented group to go compete.
Hmm.
And it was new to a lot of the guys, and it's still new to a lot of guys that joined us this year. And for the future, it's going to be. I mean, it's an eye opener for everybody. But it's definitely, I would say, a huge tool because of the talent we face.
Hmm.
Um, you know, it's not every day or not every month you get to face, a 5-star, 4-star, 3-star guy across your face, whether it be an offense, defensive player. And those are things that I feel the Valley lacks, not knowing how to position yourself against somebody with speed or size or anything in that factor. But it's continue to grow, and I feel the athletes that come through the program as far as 7-on-7 improve as far as maturity, understanding what's out there, and if you're the best in the Valley, you might not be the best in the state. And I think that's where a lot of kids get shut down and get comfortable, is when they're the best in the Valley and they never go see what's outside of the Valley. And the only way you see it is, of course, the third round.
Yeah.
And as those kids come by and see the program, you know, they see the exposure that they see, the college that we go visit, you know, it brings a new level in them and a new fire, you know, when they attack certain things, training, school, when they attack, you know, what coaches are asking them, you know, it brings a new level out. As far as, you know, what it brings and what I have, you know, 7-on-7, we travel once a month out of the Valley. Right now we're in Texas only. I do plan in the future to travel outside of Texas to more national events. But I know it's kind of tough for Valley because we have to travel every time. There's no, you know, one tournament's going to be here in the Valley where we don't got to travel. We have to travel every time. And it definitely makes it difficult. But that's an investment. You know, it's an investment for everybody out there. You know, that parents, athletes, it's going to be an investment if you're looking to play at the next level and to see these type of things. Being able to travel out, it takes a toll. But also the same thing is that every Sunday we're practicing against Valley best, you know, whether it be DBs, receivers, you're seeing them at least once a week. We practice once a week. It's on Sundays so that we don't interfere with anything, basketball, baseball, track, anything in that related, so that I don't like to get in the way of school events because school is always first. And things, I think some people take that, you know, where I feel like we push kids to get away from any of that. And that's not the case. You know, all of the things that we do is to benefit them and their school, and of course, where they want to go to. And school will always come first. Team Zap's always second. And we want to be able to make sure that it's a student athlete. So we always applying that, understanding the SATs, ACTs getting done. If we're being very serious about getting looked at in the recruiting process, you know, making sure your grade, GPAs, and all that are at a level that could get into schools. Things like that we promote and make sure that these guys are staying on a different level to make sure that they don't slack or they feel that they're in a certain position that schools are going to come get them. And that's not always the case. You know, I've always told my kids this: if you're not breaking Valley records, you're most likely not getting looked at. And, you know, if coaches are helping you, it's great. You know, if coaches are not able to, you know, and it's a tougher situation. And we want to close that gap where kids are able to see what's out there and what steps need to be taken to be able to play at the next level. You know, and not every kid's going to play at the next level in Team Zap. I mean, it's just some cases it's going to be where, you know, not every kid will play, but because they didn't take the steps that we are pushing them towards, you know. But at the end of the day, it's a program to see where you're at with the state and seeing what needs to be done for you to compete and stay competing at that high level. And I feel every athlete that's been by has seen the difference of technique to being able to understand coverages, being able to see things that.
I think we.
I'm so sorry. Did it cut off?
Yeah, a little bit.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're
yeah,
good.
No, I got, yeah. But, you know, those things we try to push in the Valley and making sure they understand that there's so much more outside of the Valley. And if you're content being the best in the Valley, you know, that's only one level. There's so many more, and we get to open up that gap. We're able to see things that a lot of people are not able to see when you're just staying in the Valley.
Yeah, and it seems like in the last few years, I mean, there used to be a stigma, but it seems like coaches nowadays are, or that's the message, attacking that message. They got to be better. They got, like, they're not going to rest on third round playoffs or whatever, and it just kind of seems like now there's more and more of an effort to try to combat that, and that's what I'm seeing through your program, kind of with your techniques, with the foot doctor stuff and Team Zap. It seems like you guys are kind of trying to mold a different kind of athlete in the Valley, and it showed a lot. There's been a lot of good athletes that come y'all's way. I mean, just who are some of those kids that you've worked with, who have kind of, who's on the team, of who's kind of stood out for you guys, and who have you guys worked with?
As far as training, right now I am working with some good guys out there. I'm working with Eddie Lee, AJ Gonzaga. Being able to help those guys mold, because they're already talented. We want to make sure we take things into a deeper sense for them and a better understanding. I've been able to work with some guys like Gunnar Henderson. I was able to work with him for 2-3 years. He took the right steps, things like that those guys that come my way, they're good at playing football. And my job is to make them even better. And it's been a blessing that they've decided to take my program and stay consistent with it. Of course, I mean, no program is going to be great if the athlete and the parent is not consistent. But right now, as far as Team Zap, we have a couple guys in there that have shown, and the fact that we got shut down, it limited their exposure. But one guy that came to my mind, Kevin Garcia from Brownsville Porter. He played quarterback there, and he was our receiver, and he really, really showed his abilities at a higher level. And he's one that stood out tremendous the whole season. Every tournament we went to, he was out there balling out against top athletes, I'm glad he came by. I'm glad he was able to kind of build on this. Right now, we have a lot of young guys in the making. We do have a lot of sophomore, freshman guys in our team that are still building and learning. But we do have future quarterbacks like Andres Villagrán, Luigi Cristiano from St. Joe. Right now we also have Elijah from San Benito. I believe he's at the starting quarterback right now. And they've done a tremendous job for us. And the thing that they've changed is understanding the level of speed. And I have a lot of young receivers, a lot of young DBs that are starting to learn technique. And when they come down here, or when it's time for football, coaches to see the improvements or what they've been doing outside of school and football of the coaches. So, but there's plenty of athletes that come by. Like I said, we have tryouts. Trying to find the best athletes, and the ones that commit. I mean, they see a change. And those athletes continue learning, continue growing, and eventually you'll know their name. All the younger ones, I see them doing great things in the future.
Awesome. I guess, lastly, what do you ultimately, we've spoken of the goals, but where do you, coming out of all this, where do you see, when sports does come back in full swing, where the expectations, where do you see all this going? Team Zap, your training, et cetera. What are your goals coming out of this?
One of my goals in Team Zap has always been, winning outside, because when I've always told this to my athletes is, as we continue to grow, I mean, our goal is to always try to get a top 4, because exposure, you get a top 4 placement in a tournament, people are always media writers, college see that on Twitter, college coaches see that on Twitter, they start seeing, okay, where are these guys from? What are these guys doing? So it's always been a goal of mine for these kids to come together and compete and place top 4 at these tournaments, because that's where the eyes are really going to open. Like, hey, we do have talent down here. And I've told the Valley, we have talent down here. It's just so separated, and it's tough to get everything together to be able to show that, hey, we can go out there and compete with a lot of these athletes that already get 5 to 10 offers, At the end of the day, I want to make sure that these kids go and succeed at being a student athlete at the next level. I want to see, my goal is to, of course, have my whole team go play college football at any level, NAIA, D3, D2, D1. And we want to make it consistent, helping these kids, push themselves and push their limits that they didn't think they had. And I feel that's the road we are on. And we keep excelling. We keep seeing things. I keep hearing, man, these guys are good down there. Where's this talent hidden? Why isn't nobody seeing these guys? And it's starting to show, we're starting to open eyes. And that's my goal, is get these guys exposure and let them play at the next level. My training, my goal is to, my first goal before when I started was to train NFL clients consistently. I do train NFL guys in the summer when I travel outside of the Valley. And that was one of my goals, to be more consistent. And I did have an offer to go move to Houston to train NFL clients more consistently. But I decided that, I was born and raised in the Valley, and I want to be able to help these guys as much as possible. And to push them and for them to see things that, they're not able to see every year, day in, day out. And, I want to make sure that I'm able to continue learning, continue reading, continue growing as far as science, to be able to improve these guys' athletic ability and being able to improve things that where they're able to showcase their talent anywhere they may go.
Awesome. Hey, man. Well, definitely a lot of great info here. I appreciate your time coming on. Before we go, just kind of tell us where we can find, whether social media, websites, or where we can find information on both Team Zap and your training regimens and whatnot.
Okay, so for training, you guys, we have a main page. It's called thefootdoctorsports.com. That's our main foot doctor page where you can see all the foot doctors from all over the U.S. If you ever move or if you're in town or in Austin or if you're in Houston, you'll be able to find a foot doctor and you want to continue training. All my social media pages are footdoctor_Mata. I believe my Facebook is Foot Doctor Mata without any underscore. You guys can check out my page, and then be able to, I post all my schedules. I post what's available as far as for my training. Team Zap, we can follow Team Zap 7on7.com. Team Zap 7v7.com. You can go in there, you can check out, a little bit. It gives more info about it in depth. You guys can, give me a call if you have any questions through social media. We have a Team Zap page. We have a Twitter page for Team Zap. We have all the social media needs that we would need to be able to reach out to kids that may be looking a more serious note to go play at the next level. And any of those pages, you can reach out.
Awesome. Well, you guys heard it here. Again, thank you, Foot Doctor George Mata, for being here with us. And lastly, before we go, everybody check us out on Real Sports Live, wherever you do your social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And this is going to be it for this show. Meet us at 3:00. We're going to have Pace's Danny Pardo come on with us. And we're going to have another show at 5 with a pair of Riviera coaches, Beto Leal and Hugo Ramirez. So just stay with us here throughout the day. And thank you for watching. George, it's been a pleasure talking with you. So have a great day. Thanks for coming on, man.
Hey, thank you for having me. Everyone have a good day. Later.